Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are watching this. My name is Todd Jones. I'm with Streamily, and I am about to introduce Scott Arthur and Cameron Folmar. Scott is Blythe from Elden Ring, and Cameron is King Greymane from World of Warcraft. Both play wolves. This is Scott. Say hi, Scott.
Hello.
And this is Cameron. Hello, Cameron.
Hey, guys.
And we'd like to present, Streamily is presenting Between Two Wolves today. We'll be doing a little Q&A and some autograph signing. If you're interested in purchasing an autograph, you can go to the link below, streamily.com/betweentwowolves, and purchase one during the stream. And if we can get to it, we'll sign it. If not, it'll get signed after the stream and shipped straight to you as soon as Streamily has it in hand. So good afternoon and evening to you both. I know Cameron's in New York, and Scott, what part of the UK are you in? Are you in London proper, or are you?
I'm in London. Yes.
Okay, great. So
dark and dreary London.
Yeah.
It's dark by 5 p.m. now, so it's a strange time of year.
Apologies to anyone coming in. We did have to shift an hour late. The UK fell back to daylight savings time yesterday, so we had to shift our time here in the US to get started. But we're all here now, so welcome to all. I'm just going to get this started and ask you both just to tell us a little bit about your characters from these games. Scott, you want to start?
Yeah. So I played Blythe, who is a half man, half wolf, protector of Rani. And for those who haven't played the game, you might not meet Blythe. The world of Elden Ring is huge, so you could play the whole game and not actually come across him. But those who do, or those that have, yes, have made it known to me that they are very, very big fans of him, which is very, very kind, because the only thing I lend to the character is my voice. So whereas Miyazaki and the designers do all the other hard work and kind of creating Blythe in terms of the way he looks. And yes, you do have to kill him, unfortunately. So those that have had to kill him find it very, very difficult. But it's great, and it's been a wonderful 7 months since the game came out.
February, I believe. Yeah. So actually 8 months. Yeah.
8 months. Yeah, that's gone quick. And yeah, it's just I've been really blown away in terms of the love that the character's got. And
that's great. That's so it's an NPC, but it's part of the open world quest that the player goes through. They have to interact and eventually kill the character. That's interesting. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cameron?
Yes. If you see like a tail switching back and forth, the cat just owned my lap. So it's her tail. It's her face.
Aww.
Well, she clawed her way up here. So I have to let her do what she wants.
She sends the wolves.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, well, I think that's a nice relationship. Cats and dogs do get along, in this household, at least. Me being the dog. I play again Greymane in World of Warcraft. I didn't realize, Scott, that Elden Ring was so new. Is the game is new, or your character is new in it?
It's new. It's all new. I mean, it's part of the Dark Souls universe.
Oh.
It's kind of a follow-on from that, really. But it's still very, very new. Everything's new in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I've been with World of Warcraft was already huge when I joined with Cataclysm in 2010. So I've been doing it for 12 years now. Not constantly. In some of the extensions, I'm in a large presence, and in some of them, the last one, the one that's out now, the Shadowlands, I don't do much at all. And then there's a new one, a new extension coming out, I guess probably around Christmas, called Dragonflight, and I've done a couple of recordings for that. But I've been voicing again since for 12 years now. Yeah.
Very cool. Scott, do you want to grab an autograph and we'll get that started?
Yeah, why not?
I can ask some questions. We can kind of keep chatting while we're doing that.
good.
Did I read correctly? Elden Ring is partially world built by George R. R. Martin.
Yeah, yeah.
That
So
is-
I think Miyazaki contacted him and said, "I'd like you to create the world for this game." And George R. R. Martin kind of jumped at the chance. I think he realized how big Miyazaki was within the gaming world. And it's almost like a dream collaboration in a way. Do you know what I mean? There's two giants, one who's mainly, books and film and TV, and then the other who's gaming. And you mix that together, and it's obviously created one of the best games ever made. But yeah, it was a shame. I would have loved to have met George R. R. Martin, but I know that he's a very busy man. But Miyazaki
still has
was
books to finish.
yeah, actually, yeah. But Miyazaki was there on every call that we had for the Elden Ring recordings, which was daunting at first. And I remember that first Zoom call and seeing him pop up, and he had a translator as well, so that kind of added to the tension and the awe of him as well, because he was speaking in Japanese, and then the translator was, and whilst he was saying all this, in my head I was going, oh no, he thinks I'm terrible, he thinks what I'm doing is all wrong, he's going to say no, Blythe needs to change. But yeah, he was great, he was lovely, and to see him kind of do his thing and kind of flex his muscles was amazing. Yeah,
That's
awesome.
Great. That's awesome.
Yeah. So the first one is to Nikki. I'm going to write 59 on the back. Okay. So Nikki has asked, can you please sign it? Your Blythe's favorite tarnished. Okay, that's no problem. For those that don't know, the tarnished are, if you play the game, then you are a tarnished. And of course, Nikki, my favorite. Yeah.
So I've got sort of a long request on this first one, so I'm going to go ahead and write it out because it's more like a paragraph. It's to Denny, and Denny has asked to write something to one of your most loyal and brave and devoted soldiers. So I am writing, "Hail, champion! Your bravery and excellence are an inspiration to all. I would have you fight by my side. Your King Greymane." And
I am sure that Denny is worthy.
Todd, do you want me to show
go,
the? Oh
Yes,
wow!
please. Yeah,
that's an amazing print. That one. Look at that. Is that
beautiful?
Is that fan art?
Is it what?
Is that fan art? Is that by a fan? The art.
I don't know. I mean, it's just something that we found on. It's an image that they showed me one time. I showed up to do a recording, and this was on the music stand. So I asked for them to include it in the shop, and they found something that was high resolution enough to do it. But it is a beautiful print.
It's amazing.
They really all are. They do such a good job. That's Streamily.
Oh, someone has said it's official art from the Hearthstone game. Wow.
there we go.
Great. Amazing. There we are, Nikki. That's on its way to you. Thank you for being Blythe's favorite tarnished. Makes me very, very happy.
So as we move on to the next autographs, what do you do to get into character for Greymane and for Blythe? What's your like and motivation?
Cameron can go first, maybe.
Okay. Well, it's really interesting to me because his voice isn't in my register at all. It's much deeper and then even his regular human voice is, and then he has that kind of mid-Atlantic sort of sound, and I don't in my normal voice. So there's kind of an accent work, and then I have to speak as deeply as I can. In fact, if I wake up and I'm froggy, that's a good day. If my voice is just like, for whatever reason, it's just like an octave lower, that's perfect. But if it's not, I kind of have to push it down there. But the weird thing is that, I'll record something, I'll record like maybe the most I would record would be like 7 or 8 times in a year. And sometimes a lot less. Like this year, I've only recorded three times. So it used to scare me. I used to think, I don't know, I can't do it. I can't get into it at home. And a lot of times I don't know what I'm going to say, or I don't know what the script is until I get there. So it's kind of like a jump off a high dive, but he's always shown up. And they help. They play. They give me references. They always play a reference sound so that we know that we're matching it and it hasn't shifted in some weird way, non-continual way. But it's a strange case of possession with him. He just sort of he shows up. He's always shown up on time, and I guess I should knock on wood. That's not wood, but it looks kind of like it. But he's always been there when called upon. I don't mean that to sound spooky, but it is a little. So I don't do anything. That's what I'm telling you. Listen, the writing is great, and if the director is great, and they have been, they're very good and they're very patient, very exacting. The writers are there, patched in. I'm in New York. Everybody else is in LA or Burbank, and so it's just me and the sound engineer in Manhattan, and then everybody else is in. So we can't see each other. Which I think makes it probably a lot more focused in a way, but they're so specific, so it makes my job a lot easier. It's just give them what they're asking you to give, and the writing is good. It's good.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's very similar to what Cameron said. If you have good writing and a good director, then that's kind of 75% of the work done in a way, and that's what, as actors, we just rely on that so heavily, and when we do get a good director and a good writer, we're like, oh yes, this is great. I'm going to have a great time. That you're in a good place to start with. But it just changes every job I do. I don't really have a way of getting into character that has stuck with me, or that I think works for every job. It just changes. Sorry, was that my computer making that noise? I'm terribly sorry. But I'm doing I'm currently filming a TV series at the moment, and the character's a detective, and I've never been a detective. I don't know anyone who is a detective. But he's a very determined, passionate, kind of driven man who will kind of do anything to get to where he needs to get to. And I know how to play that. Do you know what I mean? I think that is something that I can relate to, or that I know people like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of, it changes for everything, really. And then when I've played characters before, where I played a pro tennis player once, so I knew I had to train really hard and not eat too much bread and pasta and drink too much beer. You know what I mean? So it changes. Just, but with Elden Ring, it was great because we spent a morning in the studio playing with voices, and when I auditioned for it, I kind of came at it because I knew that he was a half man, half wolf. I thought, well, I've got to make him really gravelly, but then it didn't work, and the director was like, no, this character is in his mid to late 20s. I want him to sound as if he's in his mid to late 20s, and not for him to sound as if he's some man in his 60s who spent all of his life smoking 100 cigarettes a day. And that way of kind of approaching Blythe seemed to have gone down really well, and people loved how hospitable and how human he kind of is. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't sound like your stereotypical gruffly, growly kind of, wolf, which I like, which I think is fun.
That's
I
great.
love that. I
great.
looked him up. I looked him up on YouTube. Some of the cinematics that you did, and I love that he's not, he doesn't have a lot of, wolf in his voice. He's very,
Yeah.
Yeah, like you say, he's very hospitable, very, very, very interesting.
Very warm.
Again, on the other hand, is the 60-year-old guy who's smoked a lot and just been really. He was started out very grumpy, He's quick to anger, and I think one of the things that's been super helpful. I mean, he's had a really nice arc over the past 12 years. He, he's lost everything, and including and foremost his son, who was struck by a poison arrow shot by a character named Sylvanas. It was meant for me again, but my son got in the way and died. So then that's a source of great pain and great rage and all this other stuff. So he's become over the years, he was very they were very sort of nationalistic, and the kingdom. I'm the king of Gilneas, and they kind of walled themselves off from everyone else, and because of the cataclysm, he's forced to join this group of other, a bunch of different creatures and races and everything from I mean it's filled with all different kinds of stuff. There are orcs and there are dwarves and there are elves and there are the gamut. So they're forced to join together in order to battle these evil things that are coming through a portal, and my kingdom gets overtaken, and so I'm without one now, and just a lot of people die, and over the years he's become a lot more thoughtful, a lot less just gruff, and he's deepened a lot, so just in terms of that acting the part, that's really it really started to become interesting, about 5 or 6 years in for me, and it's just stayed that way.
It's
now
really cool to hear that the characters can be as open world as the players. Like you have, it develops and it grows, and the characters change over time. I think that's really cool.
Yeah,
you see a lot of video games where that doesn't happen. So
yeah, they really do a great job with that. I mean, they're always trying to move forward with stuff like that. New relationships. I have a sort of a surrogate son now who's the king of Stormwind, named Anduin, and I'm kind of his mentor, and he's really just very, very, very close, I think, in my heart to my boy. I think they would have been probably around maybe the same age, but he definitely is the mentor. So I've got him, and that opens up all kinds of emotions for him. So I'm really proud of the way that they've made those characters as complex as they have.
That's really cool.
The ones that I identify, just from what as little as I know, as good guys and bad guys, and then the more you find out about them, you're like, oh well, they've all been through really, really horrible stuff. It's not a sweet game. Yeah. It's pretty rough, but yeah, it's complex. It's complex.
Wow.
It's amazing how much work goes into these characters, because when I was playing video games when I was a kid, whether it was Grand Theft Auto or kind of Crash Bandicoot, like the characters just seemed as if the actors would go in for the day, they'd say the lines and they go, yeah, great, lovely stuff, thank you very much, I'll take my paycheck and then go home. But these days with video games, I've got friends who do so many, and the amount of work that goes into it, the worlds, the characters that they create, and the backstory for them is mad. I just think it's incredible, and it's testament to how much the gaming world has developed over the last 10, 15 years. It's incredible, and I guess it's because you can be anyone you want and do anything that you want to do, and that's a lovely escapism for people, isn't it? It's great.
It really is. It really is. All right, let's move on with the next few autographs. And see who we've got here.
Great. I've got one to Matt. So Matt has requested this wonderful print. And Matt has asked if I could write Blythe swearing my allegiance to him, like I do with Rani, but making it more so romantic and how protective he is. Something sweet yet caring. So I think that's a really wonderful way to sum up the character Blythe. Something sweet yet caring. I think he's a very, very caring person / wolf. And at the end, could you write his name where your signature will be? Absolutely. That's fine.
It's interesting because I've got my next one is asking for something inspirational. Gen would say, sorry, my other screen's over here. Yet something romantic and sweet, but also protective. It sounds like it could be the same person, but I don't have a name. Do you have a name, Scott?
What for
that, to make it out to? Is there a person?
Oh yeah, it's to Matt for me.
Oh, okay. Then it's not the same one. That's really interesting.
Yes.
Oh, Matt's in the chat now. Matt says thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Matt.
And somebody else says my eyes and ears are happy. Carlos says heyo. Sean Ward is asking how everyone is doing.
Oh, Sean, I have one for him.
And there's Matthew Cormier who mentioned the Hearthstone game. Looks like he's got a couple of autographs coming up as well. So,
I've got a couple for him. Yeah.
So we're the gang is all here.
Awesome. I'm glad everybody could, I'm glad you guys could make the switch. So we've had a couple of switcheroos around this time around, but I'm glad it's happening. I'm so glad that you guys are here and that you're able to join us at the different time today.
We appreciate everybody's flexibility. Time zones changed and schedules changed, but we got it.
And it's so weird. We don't do them in America at the same time as you do in Britain. I mean, our daylight savings time is like next week or the week after.
I think it's like 3 weeks from now. I think it's the 18th. Is it the weekend of the 18th? Or
it's
right before Thanksgiving. So
yeah, I think during one of the George W. Bush administrations, they changed it. Can't remember why, but they changed it
because it used to be October, but they made it longer. And
right.
I don't know. It's probably all just making the moves to get rid of it altogether at some point.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of
movement
talk
for
about
that, but
yeah. But then if you do that, then it's dark at 7:30 in the morning, which is weird if you're a morning person.
Yep. I have never been as affected by the time changes back and forth as some of my friends are. So usually the hour here and there doesn't bother me, but I know plenty of people that like that 1 hour makes a difference for a while to them, and that's
it's like for me it's like weird for a day, and then it's like okay.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of when it gets dark at 5 p.m.
Oh right, yeah, that does get kind of depressing. Yeah.
It is. It's not great, although it does kind of lend its hand to my favorite saying whenever I feel down or whenever a friend is sad, I always say to them, it won't always be dark at 5 p.m. And that always kind of sometimes, you know what I mean? It's dark now, but give it 5-6 months, maybe not more, because our winters seem like they last for eternity. We'll be back to these summer lights. There we go, Matt. I have said to Matt, I will fight with you until death. I gave you my heart, sword, and life. Life. There we go.
And For me, I don't have a name, so it is made out to dear one. I bestow upon you this wish. May your days be filled with the joy and wonder that you have brought to me through your excellence and dedication, your king, Greymane. And that's that.
That is
Cool
awesome.
print.
Cameron, it's amazing that you've been part of this game for, did you say over a decade now?
Yeah, 12 years, can you believe it?
But that's incredible. You've got so many people that love the game and love you in it. And it's obviously testament to you and how amazing you are in it. You know, for you to still be doing it, it's amazing like that.
Well, I'm glad they stuck with me. Yeah, I know it's bizarre, but it is. You know what? It was my favorite thing about it is it's like I never get to play parts like this. This is just like a hyper sort of like masculine dude who turns into a super like 8-foot werewolf with a 6-foot flaming sword. You know, it's just like nobody would ever look at me and say, "Oh yeah, that's him." But with the voice acting, I can do it. You know what I mean? And it's a terrific release for me, and it's a terrific exploration for me. I loved that from the beginning of it. I was just like, oh yeah, I definitely want to do that.
Can I ask you, is audio drama a huge thing in America?
Is what?
Audio drama, so kind of radio plays and stuff like that, because it's huge over here to do all of that stuff.
I don't know about radio plays, but I mean, the voiceover work here, I feel like is primarily gaming and audiobooks and stuff like that.
I think there's a podcasting and serialized podcasts and fictionalized podcasts are starting to take hold, and I think that's similar to the audiobooks. I know the BBC puts out like Doctor Who audiobooks and various things all the time, and I see those advertised. So I think on our side of the pond, that's probably the serialized podcast that's starting to drive that a little bit. Who's next with the autos? Looks like you're both onto Sean Ward.
Sean Ward.
Oh yeah.
Sean has requested for me to say, "Here, hold my sword." Sean. It's fine for the UK right now because it's 6:30, but maybe it's a bit too early for the US. Cameron, can I ask you? Can I ask you if you've been sent any fan art of your character that's made you blush in any way?
No.
Oh, okay.
I have. No, you have, obviously.
Yeah, I've had quite a few of them. I just thought that there was the world of the furry fetish as kind of I don't know whether that kind of fell into your realm as well.
I don't know. Well, my character is older, and I think maybe he's more fatherly and less of a sex symbol than Blythe is. So I'm not surprised.
No, it was like some of the artwork is incredible, even though he's quite graphic. It's spectacular, and I'm blown away by it. I'm like, this is amazing. But yeah.
No, I see it with the graphic artist. I follow some really, really super talented graphic artists on Twitter, and when I write about World of Warcraft or tweet about Gen or something coming up, and so we follow each other and stuff, and their stuff is incredible. And occasionally they'll do a storyboard, a scene. They'll just take off with him. Sometimes it includes him in it, and I'm always like deeply honored to be included, in something like that, and especially since they're so talented. And I've signed autographs for them, but nobody mails me stuff. I mean, I don't know if that's what's happening with you. Are they just like tweeting you these images or something?
Yes. They tend
Okay.
to just kind of pop up in my messages saying, "Oh wow, look at this one of Blythe," and I'm like, "Okay, thanks very much."
Okay, so mine are definitely more fatherly.
Oh, okay. Well,
Right. Okay, I've got one to Sean Ward, which is he asked me to write welcome to Gilneas. So Sean, there you go.
oh wow. And I've said, obviously, to Sean, here, hold my sword. There we go.
Yes.
So it looks like we've got Matthew Cormier back up for both of you for the next autograph. While you guys are prepping those, do you have any favorite werewolves outside of your games in pop culture? Could it be from a movie, a TV show, from music, a play, any other werewolf inspiration in the background, or is this, or are they new to you in terms of fandom?
Yeah, they're very new to me. Very, very new.
Well, I just watch, the Halloween thing is like you said, Scott, it's just like, nonstop, especially since it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday is Halloween. So we've got nonstop horror movies on television. Like half the television stations are just like 24/7 from now through October 31st, horror movies. And in fact, just this morning, American Werewolf in London was on. I haven't seen that one in a long time. It's got that amazing transformation scene that I think halfway through, that was just like freaky real in like 1980 or 82 when it was done. And it's kind of, some of it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's kind of like 80s horror, definitely, but it's still very impressive. And cool to see the change before your eyes. They just used a bunch of bladders and stuff and made the skin sort of boil, and the hands and feet stretch and the snout stretches out. It's like very cool transformation.
At the time, that was state of the art special effects at the time, and
absolutely,
yeah,
it was yeah. That
part,
and the Howl,
part stop
also.
motion, part
Right.
I mean, CGI wasn't even really a thing unless it was a space movie. So.
Right. No, it wouldn't have been good enough to work in that kind of situation. No, that's all Rob Bottin stuff, those special effects like Savini, those special effects wizards of the time that made the 80s look like it does, and I know they don't use those practical effects that much anymore, but they were pretty awesome. So that and The Howling. And the interesting thing about those movies is that they both have a really big sense of humor. They're both terrifying, and they're graphic and gory and scary, but they also are flat out funny, in places. They have big laughing jokes, good ones. So I love both of those. I love both of those movies.
Oh.
I can't think, there was a remake of The Wolfman a few years ago that it looked beautiful, but I don't know, I didn't really care about it. I think it had Anthony Hopkins in it and Benicio del Toro. Is that his name? That's his name, right?
Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just haven't seen him in a while, so I was sort of wondering if I got because Guillermo del Toro just came out with like an 8-episode horror thing on Netflix that I watched the other day, which is totally him and gorgeous to watch. And
it's in my queue. Yeah.
And horrible. The Cabinet of Curiosities. Yeah. So it's beautiful but just disgusting. But really nice stories, which is what he always sort of delivers, I think.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a film called Dog Soldiers in it. Have you seen Dog Soldiers?
Yeah, by the Scottish director.
Yeah. And they chase werewolves and that. Yeah. Is that who was it? The Scottish director. What's his name?
The guy that did The Descent as well, with the women that go down in the cave and then those creatures pick them off. But I love Dog Soldiers. That's a really good one.
Neil Marshall.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a really good one.
It's
I haven't
it's,
seen that in a while.
yeah, those boys that did that film, they do all the conventions as well. People love that film. It's a real cult kind of.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I think because they're being chased by werewolves, I think that adds to it as well. You know what I mean? So Carlos says that he was just watching that the other day. Wow. Okay. I'll have to put it on again, especially as it's Halloween.
I can't see any commentary. Maybe that's because I'm on the phone instead of the computer, but
okay. So the next one is to Matthew. To Matthew A. Cormier. How do I say that? Cormier. Congratulations on your recent collaboration with the convention. Oh, thank you very much. Looking great. I'm going to be doing a few conventions in my home country of Wales in December, Comic Cons, and I've never been before.
Oh yeah, Wales Comic Con. Yeah.
So I'm really excited to kind of. I'm more excited about meeting other actors that I love and have been fans of for years and are in really cool TV shows. I'm going to be like a kid in a sweet shop there. It's going to be the best day ever. But
That'll be great.
It'll be fun.
Matthew says you said his name correctly, so we're good there.
Okay. Call me. Okay, call me. Okay, great.
And Matthew asked me to write "Glory to Gilneas." So what's that? And there you go, Matthew. Oops, I keep getting that wrong. So if anybody has a question that you want, I can't see any. I just wanted you to know that I can't see any text. I can't see any
Carlos
commentary.
does have a question, bit late question for Cameron. But last time I was on one of these, you were talking about reading some of the World of Warcraft books and the cinematics that had your character in it. And Carlos wants to know what you thought of those.
Okay, well, I just pulled them off the bookshelf. So I'm reading this now, Before the Storm by Christy Golden. And dig this, Carlos. She actually, well, no, I can't find it. Where is it? She inscribed. Oh, it's upside down. I put the jacket on upside down. She autographed it for me. And also, she sent me a hard copy of the new book, Sylvanas. And she also inscribed this one. And then the other one that I've had for ages, but had forgotten, I had forgotten that I even had it, is Curse of the Worgen, which Blizzard sent to me, I think, right at the beginning when I did Cataclysm, because it's the backstory of, the Worgen curse and all that, the whole race, the whole misfortune that they're the great curse, which is also their greatest power, because they learn to, I guess by and large, they learn to control it. When it first started surging through the kingdom, it was, they were just, they lost their minds and they would just go wild, completely feral. They would eat each other, there's just no humanity left. But they found an elixir, and there's a fountain you can bathe in, and then there's an elixir that you can take that allows you to keep your humanity in Worgen form, and then you're like a superhero. So yes, I find all of these things I always loved the cinematics because they're so well done. And whenever they show me one, whenever I go to record, like, you know, and they've produced one and I get to see the finished product, I'm always blown away by the soundtrack alone, because they show it on a small movie screen in the studio that I recorded. Right. And I'm like, I'm part of that. That's really awesome. And those are all on YouTube. I mean, I watch them every once in a while. But I've just recently gotten into these books. I mentioned that at the beginning, and they're so helpful. I mean, the world is so complex, and it's interesting because some of the scenes are kind of there are a lot of books, right? So when the worlds intersect, you know, the game is so complicated. It's, you know, there's so many different worlds that, you know, that eventually come together, and, you know, one is the Alliance and one is the Horde, and then they're, you know, that's the huge conflict. This one book won't go. They'll sort of summarize what happened, but you don't really know, because if they go into detail about, they'll just be repeating themselves over and over again. Does that make sense? Right? So if I'm reading Sylvanas, I'm like, wait, what happened? And then I go and pick up Before the Storm, and I'm like, oh, I see. They just don't want to tell the whole thing over again, because the people who already know it are going to be like, stop telling me these things that I already know. So you know, it's my problem for not going in order, but. Right, but
it's like skipping the recap on the Netflix shows. Like I just watched the last episode.
That's exactly right. And so Sylvanas was Christie Golden's Sylvanas was brand new when I discovered it, and I was on the last Streamily live signing that I did. I was like, I brought her up, and Nick was like, oh, well, we could go on for the next, you know. 5 days about Sylvanas, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I need to read about her, because all I know is that I hate her and she killed my child. You know. So I read the book and I was like, oh, you know, it's enriching, and the worlds are not boring. I mean, I'll tell you that it's nonstop action. So yeah, Carlos, I've gotten a lot out of those books, and I'm enjoying them, and I will continue to buy them and read them and devour them, and hopefully Christie will sign them all.
So who's next?
Well, I've got another one for Matthew.
Okay.
It's a different print, and it just has Gilneas Will Prevail, signed Asgan Greymane. And then under that, I'll sign my name. Here you go, Matthew.
Oh, Matthew, I haven't shown you mine yet. Sorry about that. There you go. There he is.
Awesome.
Best Boy Blade. So next we have
I think that
Shogo, or is
So I've got one. That's all the VIPs for me, but I have one for Holly. And I will make that out to Holly and just give her a Gilneas Will Prevail. So there you are, Holly. This is actually a still from an incredible cinematic from Battle of Azeroth. which was the extension before the current one, which is called Shadowlands. I think I had a lot more to do in Azeroth, was a couple of years old. But it's probably the grandest cinematic. I mean, I don't know. The Dragonflight, I don't know if you've seen it, Todd, but the Dragonflight one is quite amazing too. They just get like grander and grander.
I have not seen that. No.
I haven't seen it in studio. Just it, it pops up on my Twitter feed sometimes. So I took a look at it. I think that one drops Christmas. Not sure, but I think so. I think that's what they like to try to do. So Scott, how do you do you find I mean, your character is so, what I saw of your character, he seems quite calm. I probably didn't see all of the cinematics that you've done, but when mine turns, is yours ever a fully human, or is he always what he is?
He's always what he is. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, because I remember, it's something to transform from a person and a human into a werewolf, and what that does to your physical body, even though nobody's seeing that, it's going through your voice. But I find that less and less now, because honestly, I've been recording as Gen in his human form. I haven't done a lot of the wolf lately. But which is easier on the voice, I'll tell you. But I used to find myself really being a lot more physical in front of the mic than I would have thought. I would have thought that I could just get it out with my voice, but I sort of wound up finding that I physicalized a lot more than I expected, and I think it made it. I think it made it more fun, I guess, in a way, sort of not bouncing around the room, of course, but just he's just really, if you could see it, it would probably be hilarious. I don't know.
Cameron, really quick, the one that you signed that did not have anybody to make it out to, number 15,
Mm-hmm.
that was actually for Matt Magistry. It was actually for the same person that Scott was also signing for, and he's asking if you can go back and put his name on it.
Of course I will.
Great.
And what's the name? What's the name again?
Matt with 2 T's, and the last name is Magistry, Magistri.
Todd, will you be able to tell me whether I have done my VIPs or not? I am terribly.
Did you complete the one for Shoko?
Not yet. Is Shoko the last VIP?
Shoko
one?
is the last VIP for you, yes.
Oh, great. Okay. Awesome.
And then Cameron, you said you did Holly.
I did Holly. I showed
Okay.
Holly, and I've got one for Vivian.
Okay.
And that's going to be it for me. But I'm going to go ahead and put Matt on here.
Great. Thank you.
Go, Shoko.
That's great. Okay. I will mark Shoko off as complete then.
Oh, you're
And then-
doing that. I was
I
what's-
am. Yeah.
That's me.
I am. I'm helping you guys out. So we'll get Matt on that, and then you've got the one last VIP, and then we'll wrap this up with one other quick thing. And thank you both for taking the time today to interact with me and each other and with the Streamily fans of Elden Ring and World of Warcraft. This has been a really
Always a
fun
pleasure.
conversation and a fun talk.
Great.
And now I know next time we just need to get you and Patty Madsen together, Cameron, and you can fight it out with the
Yes.
voices. Yes,
I would love that. I did one with Patty, and it had a lot of folks in it, and I was just like, I want a one-on-one with her. She's so cool. I mean, she's such a pro. She's been doing this longer than I have. I think,
Yeah.
you know, she was in one or two extensions before this, but that's an awesome character.
Yeah,
That is,
Sylvanas. Yep.
she is the most fascinating character. Just, okay, this last one is to Vivian. Oh, and Vivian wants me to write, "My king, we have her cornered." And I believe we are talking about Sylvanas.
Mhm.
You don't know Sylvanas, probably, Scott. She was an elf. Let's see. I don't know if you can see this. I'm having to.
Oh yes.
So that's her when she was human, but
Okay.
then she was made undead. We have
Ah.
a race of undead where you know, this awful character comes in and lays waste to entire communities, entire worlds, and then he raises them, and they're then called the Scourge, and they're basically like Romero zombies. You know, they don't have any minds of their own. They are, I think Arthas Menethil controls them, and they do eat people and other creatures who then become the Scourge. So total zombie.
Very zombie-like,
But then
yeah.
there are some that regain their, you know, they it doesn't infect them completely, and they're called the Forsaken. And Sylvanas is queen of them. She's undead too, but she was also made into a banshee. So she's got special powers. Like, you know, she can scream and kill you, like, or like kill like 1,000 people with like a scream or whatever. You know, she's super powerful, and she's like a master archer and stuff. She was she went from being the protector of her people, the elves, to being, you know, now completely shunned by them because they don't have anything to do with the undead. Which is a big part of her vengeance and her problem. But yes, that's sort of who we're talking about. She's still gorgeous though, whereas, you know, she's just kind of bluish gray, but she's really still gorgeous. Whereas the other undead are like, their jaws are constantly dropping off, and they have to find replacements, and, you know, like an arm will fall. They're rotting. But I guess as a banshee, she's preserved.
Is there quite a lot of cosplay of her at conventions and stuff like that? Because it looks as if people would.
Oh yes.
Enjoy it. Yeah.
Oh, there's quite a lot of cosplay of me. There are people that show up in brilliant werewolf suits that look really hot. I mean, like hot, you know.
Yeah.
Like you can't wear that for more than 30 minutes. But yeah, I mean, some of them they're so beautifully done. You're like, okay, well, this person obviously works in a scene shop or a special effect, but this is obviously somebody who's actually does this professionally. It can't be just somebody who, you know, went to the thrift store and got some stuff. But it's there are, and I've only seen pictures of them. I really want to. I've never done a convention before. I don't know why I haven't, but I would love to get into them. Like you, I would love to meet other actors and other, you know, people, but I also just, I would love to, you know, I'd love to come face to face with some of these guys because they're so dedicated. I mean, the games are very, very involving, you know.
They really are.
It's like, yeah, addictive, and I think sometimes in a dangerous way. But, you know, hopefully everybody's going to work. And, you know, being responsible.
And they're on all the platforms now too. You can play on your phone, your cell phone. You've got the switches and all the mobile gaming platforms. So before we wrap up here, one last thing. Matthew Cormier in the comments is asking, he was wondering if you could say voice lines from each other's characters instead of your own.
Oh God, I don't know.
If Scott was to give you a line, or you were to give Scott a line, could we do that? Or
I don't think he's ever heard my character. That's not fair.
Oh, okay. Just passing the request along.
I'll do it if Cameron does it, but I don't know any of Cameron's line. I mean, if Cameron gave me a line from the, you know, from I'd happily say it as Blythe, and then vice versa.
Okay, so who asked that question?
That was Matthew Cormier who asked that.
Oh my God, Matthew. Okay. Sure. I can't. I don't know if I can do your accent. You're so. What do you sound like?
I will not be attempting American in front of two Americans. I'll be as
I,
Blythe.
I think the question is to have Blythe say
Ah,
something,
right.
say one of Greymane's lines, and Greymane say a Blythe line. I think.
Okay, perfect.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool. That's cool.
Okay. Let's see. Well, why don't you just say one of Matthew's, what Matthew asked me to write, Gilneas will prevail. And that's usually like, that's like something that you say to the troops, so it's kind of, to 200 people out in the field before you go into war.
Okay. Do you want to write it? Do you want to write that for me into the comments, and I'll try my best.
I can do that, certainly.
Thank you.
Make sure I'm spelling that correctly.
What is my phone? Are you sitting on it? Kitty. Well, I'm sorry.
Okay,
for
so
heaven's sake.
here's the line for you then.
Okay, let's have a look at it. So am I pronouncing this right? Gilneas, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So basically it's Gilneas who will prevail. And that's it.
Yes.
Okay. And I've got to pretend I'm saying this to 200 people.
Yes, before sending them into battle.
Okay. Gilneas will prevail.
That actually sounded like Gen.
That's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess also I've got a terrible cold at the moment as well, so it probably came up, really bad.
I'm telling you, it always helps when you're a little groggy with my character. It's beneficial.
And it's quite funny actually because Matthew's actually given you the line that I was going to give you, which is "We fight sword and fang."
Tell me that again.
So it's
we fight sword and fang.
Fang.
We fight sword and fang. Okay. This is Gen saying that. Who's he saying it to? Do we know? Is he just something he says?
He says it to the player basically.
Okay.
And also like he says it about Rani at some point as well, which is
all right.
His queen.
Okay. So we fight sword and fang. That's Gen's version of that.
That was awesome. That was awesome. And I think that's a great way to wrap up this stream. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time out of your Sunday to be with Streamily and to be with your fans. We will stay on and take a couple minutes after we're done. But thank you to everybody who was watching. Thank you to everybody who bought an autograph. The stores are still open. Go to streamily.com/betweentwowolves. And we will see everybody down the road.
Thank
Have
you.
a good Sunday, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.